Start. Good morning, everybody. It's great to see you today. I am letting people in from the weight room, so if we can just wait just a minute till we're all here. It's really nice to see everybody, especially on this fine summer morning. I know there's lots of other places that everybody could be, and so I appreciate you being here. Yadira is coming to us from Mexico today, right, Yadira?
Hi, good morning, everybody. Yes, I'm in beautiful Guadalajara this morning, but I couldn't miss this meeting.
Well, we appreciate it, Yadira. We totally do. I was literally texting her going, Yadira, I think it's okay. It's a June meeting. I think it's okay. I got it. She's like, no, I want to make sure I'm here. Let's go ahead in the chat, everybody, and just do quick intros with your name, your email, and then 3 of your favorite summer things to do. My family's in the middle of planning vacation right now, and so I'm thinking about all the things I love to do and I'm going to be excited to do them soon. So really appreciate everybody being here today. I was telling you, Dara, I don't think we have so much on the agenda where it's going to take a full 2 hours today. I think this is going to be hopefully closer to a 1-hour meeting, which especially during summer, I think it's great whenever we can do that because I know the 2 hours is a lot. I've put the agenda in the chat. Also, just want to quickly show you a short video that we had made. Those of you who were able to be on during our May meeting, which was a focus group with the Commission on Teacher Credentialing, so it was a little different. You had a chance to see this. So I'm sorry that you are seeing it again, but I definitely want to share this with everybody and make sure that you've got the link. And if you'd like to share it, please feel free to. And I love seeing what people are putting in the chat. No worries, Colleen. We totally understand. We appreciate you being here. Quiet on the campus and beach is always good. Really appreciate everybody here. Letty, it's good to see you today. Glad you are here. So I'm going to show this real quick. I hope everybody enjoys it. The link is on the agenda if you'd like to share it with anybody on campus. And just a little something that we had together. Oops, sorry. Cute little video. It was really great to be together and really appreciated everybody who was able to come out for our luncheon for the region. Really hope we get to do it again. You know, I'm not sure when that will be. Maybe it'll have to be a potluck since we don't have SWP funding past September 30th. But I think it's just, it's really great to have just a little reminder of how connected we all are and all the great work that we've done. And I think this video, I appreciate Lawrence putting it together, our videographer, to just kind of showcase a little bit about Teach LARC and, you know, that day that we got to spend together. I hope everybody enjoyed getting your resources. It was exciting to hand those out, I've got to tell you. I think we may have one more campus that needs to pick up. But honestly, we had so many that were able to come to the event that it was pretty streamlined and we appreciate it. I do want to make note, everybody, we have received the Teach LARC pins. As everyone knows, there was a small delay, actually a couple week delay. The company that was creating them in China had to shut down for 2 weeks due to COVID. And so, anyways, the pins are in. I sent an email asking everybody to send me your addresses and who I should have it sent to, because I didn't know who was going to be on campus, or if you wanted them mailed to your home, or whatever's most convenient for you. I've received replies from 2 campuses. Not a problem, because it's totally summer, and so I know how it goes. But I also don't want to just send it to the campus and then have them go missing, because I want to make sure that at some point your students can get access to those. So I have a form that I'm putting in the chat. It's a really quick Google form, and all it basically is like, give me the name and address of who on campus I should be sending these to, and then I will send them to, I will get them sent over. And special thanks to Marlene at VIA, who's going to be sending them to all the campuses for us. So sorry for the delay with those, but I'm excited we have them moving forward, and hope that everybody enjoys them. So if you could please fill out that form, it should just take a minute. That would be great. Thanks so much, Leah. I just wanted to quickly mention about the Teach LIRC meeting that we had in May. As I previously said at the beginning of this call, the Commission on Teacher Credentialing, we did a joint meeting, and it was a focus group. We had 7 participants from our region, and we spoke to the group for about an hour about the P3 Early Childhood Education Credential. And so I just want to give a shout out to the region, to everybody who participated in that focus group, or in any of the focus groups that happen related to the P3 credential. I think everybody who's on right now knows there's a huge amount going on with the P3 credential right now. It is very active, lots of meetings. I was just up at the Commission on Teacher Credentialing last week sharing about the focus groups. I've been asked to continue to partner with them to do additional focus groups with administrators now in our state. Just trying to get as much feedback and information as we move forward, and just as much cohesiveness of everybody working together. So I know this isn't this meeting, but I just want to share, if at any time people want info about the P3 credential, if you have questions, if you have concerns, anything that you have to share or want to share, please know I'm working directly with the leads of CTC and even CDE related to this. And so if you have any comments or anything you'd like to move forward, I can move it forward quickly to the leads. And so, and they've been really good about wanting to know people's perspectives. When a comment or something comes in that they're not sure about, they've even said, hey, I think we think this means this, Renee, but like this person's coming from community college, so we really want to make sure. And so I really feel like in good faith they've been trying to work as cohesively as possible. So anybody want to talk about the P3 credential, or any comments or anything about that before we move forward with the agenda items today?
So Renee, this is Letty.
Hey, Letty.
Oh. Hi, I just had a more of a question / comment. For those of us that haven't been able to attend those meetings, and we have a general sense that, of course, this credential is happening, and there's just talk about, what will it look like. I know that on our end, we're starting discussions on what will it look like on our campus as child development education merge even more. Is there a place, I know that it's still being developed, but is there a place where we can get just a general overview of what are the talks and what direction is it going in, not just for myself, but also for some of the counselors who are going to be supporting us in the near future? Just like a 101 kind of
Absolutely.
situation.
I love that you asked that, Letty. I'm working with the Learning Policy Institute, and they're hosting an event on June 30th. So if you have anybody who is available to go to a live event, it'll be from 1 to 4, and it's going to have like representatives from CTC, Department of Ed, like all sorts of groups talking about it, plus also like people like us, like practitioners who are like face to face with students going, here's what we've done so far that's working, here's the bumps that we're running into. So that way, almost like in a sense, it's like for anybody who's interested in the credential, they're trying to give as much information in this 3-hour event that's going to be great for somebody who's coming in and they're like more of like a novice with the credential, and even with people who are coming in who are almost like an expert level with the credential. They're trying to like layer the event to have all sorts of different resources and information. And Letty, one of the things that I'm actually helping to create right now is they're creating a Padlet resource that they're hoping to like crowdsource with everybody at the actual event. They have over 400 people registered, and registration doesn't close until next Thursday. So there's a whole nother week of registration open. So the other thing to note within the focus groups, Letty, it has been asked repeatedly from different stakeholders to have a one-stop shop for communication and information. So that way all of us know who to go to get consistent information, because things are changing rapidly. I think that's one of the hardest things, is like kind of keeping your pulse on all the things that are moving along with this right now. There's a lot of, kind of a lot of variables around it. And so I know that they're looking to develop something right now. Department of Ed, they have got on their website like a pretty good summary, but I think it might be better. Let me see if I can get permission to share that Padlet with you now in draft form, Letty, because the stuff that's gonna be on that is great for grounding, but then what it will end up building to be should be an awesome resource. Is that cool for you? I'm meeting with them like literally after this meeting today, so I can just say, hey, is it cool if I share this with Letty right now? Or once I get permission to, then I can send it to you.
Yeah, and of course, that's incredibly helpful.
Okay, excellent. And if for some reason they don't want it released till next Thursday, what I can do is I went and found certain resources that I thought were essential to have on that Padlet. So I can even just cut and paste those links and send them to you, okay? But so it'll be like something's coming, but even more is due to come, and from more of like a state agency perspective. And I will share with them that from this meeting, it's also been shared that the clear, consistent communication and a one-stop shop for communication is needed. Because I think that's one of our concerns is, do we wait till the information gets disseminated to our campus? Will it be our chancellor's office who's telling us? Do we have to go to Department of Ed, or do we have to go to the Commission on Teacher Credentialing? Is this something we're going to hear in our region? And we don't know. and I don't think anybody knows yet totally. So the more direction we can give and say this is what we need, I think the more likely they'll be to meet us where we need to be met. Laura, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I still have a running concern with I love the idea of the credential. I'm definitely 100% behind it. My concern is they're using a model that's already in place, and I don't think it's the best model, because it's a subject-based model and not a human being-based model. And so I still have a concern about that. And it does not appear in all the sessions I've been in and through the commission and all the meetings that they're taking the best practices of early childhood and elevating them to the credential, but doing more of a push down from what they know of the elementary credential. And I still have a concern, because we need more human interaction and not subject matter type of perspective. So
Laura, that's so important right now. I know the push down has absolutely been something that has been of a heightened concern. And so they're trying to say, how do we do push up? And even as they're creating visuals, it's like, wait a second, this visual looks like a push down. Like that, yet that's not the message that we need to send. Every single message needs to show this uplifting, it needs to have a different perspective. And I've got to say, I've got 2 high schoolers right now, and what we're experiencing with the kids who are in school, like, we have to developmentalize education, because the gaps that the kids have from the pandemic, the learning loss is not at the top of the register at this point. The top of the register is kids who are so fragile and don't know how to talk to each other and stare at devices all day long. And so I agree with some of what you're saying here, and the field absolutely is. And I've got to be honest, I think this is like an opportunity. This credential is an opportunity to shift child development throughout. Imagine child development being required in every single principal's administrative credential. You know what I mean? Things that like we never even talked about before. So this is the time to dream, though. And this is the time to say, here's how this needs to happen. Laura, I'm not sure if you're able to go to that LPI event on the 30th. If you're like hesitant to be there for the whole 3 hours, let me know, because if you could just be there for the breakout portion, I think that's going to be one of the key times where so much voice is going to elevate that we can lift to a higher level. You know what I mean? And turn into policy and turn into practice. And, so I'm with you on this. Okay. Okay. Excellent. Excellent. Anyone else who'd like to talk about the credential? It's messy. I'm not trying to, I don't want to like imply that this is like totally clean and easy right now. This is one of the messiest things I've seen. But like everybody's there in the sandbox and we're all just trying to figure out how to play together and to make it work and to make what's most important is to make it right for the children and the families in California. And that needs to be at the forefront of every single discussion. And so anybody who's in spaces, make sure that's families and children, over and over. Got to remember, because people who create policy are thinking at a very high level. But with us, these are the people in our communities. These are our students. We got to make sure we take care of each other. The humanity. I love that you said that, Laura, because subject-based versus human-based. I actually wrote that down. There's a huge discussion right now about the multiple subject credential and what that subject competency is going to look like in early childhood, and if the people can get waived or not, and does an ECE bachelor's count for subject competency, and what does that look like? And I know tomorrow Peach tries to ECE some of the TPPs. Like, some of us are coming together to talk tomorrow. So if anybody's interested in being in that conversation, please let us know. That's an open group. We call it the Big Five. The Cal Backs join, and OER also joins in that, but it's 100% open if anybody's interested. I did not put that on the save the date today, but if anybody's interested in going to that meeting, it's happening tomorrow at 9:30 to 11. Just shoot me an email. I'll send you the link. Tony and everybody from Peach, they're totally inclusive, and I'm sure that anybody who's interested is invited. Anyone else who'd like to talk on the credential? Kelly, I saw you. Is there something you wanted to say? I don't want to put you on the spot, but
No, not particularly.
okay.
I'm interested in the meeting information.
Excellent. And
For
I
sure.
put the info for the meeting info at the bottom in the save the date on the agenda, but I also put the whole call, which is on the second page of the agenda.
Thank
And
you.
like, if anybody has any conflict with the timing, please let me know, because I can tell you the breakdown of what's happening when. And then you can go, kind of biggest bang for the buck if you only can be there for an hour or something like that. But they've got some really good groups that are going to be highlighted across the state, across different agencies, and it's a really, really great configuration. And Linda Darling Hammond's going to be there, and Sarah Neville Morgan, and Mary Sandy from CTE. And so just a lot. It should be a great day. Okay, so let's talk next about SWP 2021. So I hope everybody saw the email where now we have an end date of September 30th. It's not like we have a ton of money here, but the moment that Yadira and I got word that there was a potential that there was going to be an extension, we actually halted two different purchases. One was a $3,000 purchase and one was a $1,000 purchase. And we were safeguarding a couple thousand too, just to, anytime you're with grants, like I think everybody knows, you just kind of keep a little bit there because you want to make sure you clear everything out, and then you do a final spend out on whatever's left over. Anyways, we don't have a ton of money left, but we have a little bit of money left. And so we need to figure out as a region what we want to do. Couple things to note. And so I haven't done a calculation that recently on this, because all of our trainings that we did in spring, those purchase orders haven't officially cleared yet. We thought they would because they were submitted in April, but they haven't all officially cleared yet. I'm meeting with accounting again tomorrow, and we're going to talk, or not, excuse me, not accounting. I'm meeting with somebody who helps with that paperwork tomorrow, so we're going to talk about it and see if there's any gaps or what happened there. Anyways, we do know there's a little bit of funding left. So I wanted to ask and just get a sense of what we would like to do with it. In spring, there was a notice that a student or somebody came up and they were curious about salary schedule. So we don't do a ton of professional development during summer, but we said we could do something on salary schedule either midsummer or start of the school year, something like that. And that's not a problem. I can actually just do that myself, so we don't have to like contract anybody out for that. I do want to mention though, with this little bit of funding that we have, there's a couple of things I'm thinking of, but this is open to anybody. Like, the money is at El Camino, so technically it's El Camino funding, but we've really tried to be collaborative with the funds that we've had on campus as much as possible to kind of get the biggest bang for the buck for all of us. And so, so a couple things, and I hope everybody doesn't mind me being totally honest about this kind of stuff, but this is part of the budget piece. One thing to note, we've had this funding for 18 months. My contract ends the end of this month for the SWP funding. Yadira has been the El Camino liaison for the duration of the grant, 18 months. Yadira was never written into SWP and has received no payment for the 18 months that she has supported this grant. So one thing I would like to mention to our group, with this funding that we now have July, August, and through the end of September, one thing we could consider would be to give Yadira a stipend for the work that she's done. At that point, it'll be for 21 months of the grant. For the first 18 months, she, volunteered. I'm not sure if that's the right word. And please know, when we received the unspent funds, at that point, we asked if we could give Yadira a stipend, and they said no. So this will be, if everybody in the region thinks this is an okay ask and this is a best use of our investment, then I will see on this attempt if we could do that as well. Yadira has also said that it's okay. We don't have to worry about it, which I appreciate, Yadira. You don't need to talk about this right now, my friend, because I think that when somebody does work, we should compensate them.
Sorry. Thank you so much, Renee. Can everybody hear me? My Wi-Fi is a little iffy. I thank you. I appreciate you, and I know, but you know what? I feel it's actually, I see a part of my my duty and things like that. There's so much backstory to it. I appreciate you guys wanting to give me the stipend, but I rather just finish it and kind of not get involved. Get involved. I don't know if some of you understand me. It's just, I rather just be going like this, if that's okay with all of you. I appreciate you so much. But no, I think it's part of the way that I see it. I've learned so much from Teach and being part of the region. I see it actually part of my Teach at El Camino College and part of the CPTP program that we're doing. It's kind of intertwined with it. So I appreciate you, Renee, so much, but I think we can use that money for a stipend. I mean, I've already done it for the past year without pay. It's not gonna do a difference. I think it's gonna be more effective if we use it towards maybe the next Teach for LA, because my students benefit from it and my program, the CPT program needs it. So I would much rather have it spent there. And that's my 2 cents, everybody.
I do think we have enough in the budget for another Teach for LA and to ask to give Yadira a stipend. Now, one thing I will say, they could absolutely say no.
Yeah, so.
But I also think part of this, is having those consistent conversations where we're asking leadership to acknowledge our work and to pay for it. So Yadira, I understand the hassle at this point, knowing there's only 3 more months. Like, I totally get it, especially the paperwork side.
Oh yeah.
I think we should ask even strategically, because whoever is leading this project should be compensated.
I'm afraid of the paperwork.
Well, okay, so then let's just throw it out here. Another thing too is, do we have any professional learning needs? Is there any sort of contract that we need to do to bring somebody in for any sort of training? Another thing we could consider is doing another Teach for LA in fall. We would have to run it in September. Now, and I'm going to be totally honest here, the biggest cost for Teach for LA is me. Like my contract with SWP, like, I ran our monthly meetings and tried to keep track of everything as much as possible. But the bulk of that contract was for me to run multiple Teach for LAs for the region. Just because conferences take a lot to coordinate. Anybody who's coordinated knows. And so that would then equate to like a stipend for me during that time. And then of course, producing a full conference and whatnot. Another thing too, though, is we could also just do a series of professional learning. El Camino could also do what they were going to do with it originally and do the purchases that they had originally planned to do. One thing I do want to share is this was a huge source of pride for me. I don't know about y'all, but I have never produced, or not, and not that I created it, because I didn't create it, but helped to coordinate this much professional development in like 6 weeks. Do you see this list? I mean, this is insane that we did this much. It really is. I've never, I mean, has anybody else done this much? So I feel like we just rolled out so much in spring. Throughout the rollout, I was trying to tell students, this is a special deal. We don't know again when we'll have this kind of resources to do this kind of training. Anyways, I just want to open it up. What would everybody like to do? What do we think is the best use of the investment?
I mean, I know my students really liked, I mean, they really, really enjoyed the conference. If you're able to put one together, I don't know.
Yeah, we on the last one we had 24 sessions, and we can absolutely do a conference. Timing wise, it works perfectly because we have through the end of September.
I mean, it could even be a mini conference, if,
Like a one-dayer. Is that what you're
yeah,
saying, Kelly?
whatever works.
That's true. That's true. We could even try a different format of conference. It was interesting. Teach for Central Valley, they did something really cool with their conference they did. They actually had it one day, and I think it was like 4 or 5 hours, so it wasn't even a full 8-hour day. But when they did their breakouts, they had 30-minute breakouts. So even though it was a short conference, I think the students went to like 5 breakouts over the course of the conference. So that was really, and at first I was like, oh, 30 minutes. And then I was their keynote, but I also did one session, and it was effective in a 30-minute format. You're quick, but it was effective. So we could even look at a different format. What other ideas do we have? What's best ways to spend the investment? I love it in the chat. One-day conference and a bi-weekly workshop series. It's interesting, Rokeya, that you say that because we started the first generation affinity group, and that was happening, I think it was maybe like once a month. And that was something that we had a person that we contracted who worked with Yadira, who both are first generation and were sharing their experiences. And that was something that there was definitely interest with our students in continuing. So we were trying to figure out what that could look like. Yadira, what do you think about it?
Well, I was actually going to say that. I think, okay, I think there you were lagging. It's my internet. I'm thinking, I was going to speak to that matter. I think there was a huge need for that first generation group we're meeting. We're actually meeting outside. We continue these meetings, and we are going to have one right in July, the last week of July with Jackie, just because we found that there was a huge need. So if you guys are okay with it, and I would like to have the money to have speakers come into these meetings, but I want speakers like, I want the students to feel, or anybody that's coming, we want represent.
Did Yadira freeze for everybody?
Love to use the money for that if that's possible, some of it.
Yadira, that's a really interesting idea. One of my friends is first generation, and she's a school principal and just got her doctorate. She's done other stuff for us before, Ernestina.
Okay,
and
yeah.
Jackie, like we've got some great people that we could bring in. Plus, the interesting thing is if we brought people in, we could probably try to pay them as special events invoices, which would be easier than the PSA contracts too. So strategic about how much work they do and how much they get paid in order to simplify paperwork.
Right.
Okay. What other comments do we have about this? Because based on what I'm seeing on the chat, it seems like people are interested in some form of a conference and open to having a different version. I like the idea of the biweekly workshop series, or having some opportunity to bring students together and learn, especially through September. And then a one-day conference or another form of the conference. Also, it was stated that Yadira should be compensated for her efforts as long as El Camino thinks it's an eligible expense. And so I appreciate that comment. Any other comments before we move on with the agenda? We're going fast today. I knew it was going to happen. I was looking at the agenda. I'm like, this is going to be a quick meeting. But it's summer. It should be a quick meeting, right?
in the at the conference or in the workshops, it might be nice to have like a little track for student teachers, like those who are just coming in new in the fall, and some like workshops targeted towards that.
Excellent. Tell me more. Like by you saying student teachers, are you meaning they're like in practicum right now and they're
Either, yeah, practicum or in the classroom, like for all of our,
yeah. You know what? I totally agree with you, Kelly, because like a lot of times when I like go to conferences, I'm looking for like hands-on, what can I do right now in the classroom? Whereas I think a lot of our conferences, look, so much of the content, which I'm not complaining, but a lot of it is more, here's information for your future. And here's, so I love having more sessions that are like, if you're in the classroom right now, here's 5 tips that are going to help you. You know, something like totally, you're saying like something like that, right? Totally practical.
yeah.
Okay. We can absolutely do that. I love the idea of having like a student teacher pathway. And we try and do those, like when we're planning the conference, we're always trying to do tracks in a sense, but we never try to make people feel like they have to track themselves. But we're always trying to balance it within every day of the conference to have different offerings for the students. So I love this idea. It's great. Leah, I see your hands up.
Yeah, Renee, I wrote on the chat about apprenticeship because if I remember, this is really the focus of this funding. And I'm sure, SW people would appreciate that. But also, I know we had that big symposium with Kathleen and everyone, but it was like, I think it was just, it touched the surface, right? But it would be great if a community college who's done apprenticeship can actually show us how to do it, because I still don't know how to do it even after the conference. It was great information, but
Yeah.
I would really want to know how to do this.
A really good resource is the Esebs Conference, which focuses on apprenticeships in our industry sector. And so that conference just happened in May. And so we can absolutely look at, see if we can bring somebody in. Also, just to clarify, the focus of this grant was on pre-apprenticeship work, because we knew with COVID and everything that to actually have apprenticeships running in place were going to be more of a challenge. And so so everything that we have been doing over the course of this grant has been part of like the par for the course of what we were anticipating. But we absolutely can bring in more for apprenticeships by all means, definitely. And moving forward with SWP funding, everybody, if you can, if you get funding moving forward or other workforce funding, try to make sure to go to that Esebs conference, because then you get a chance to meet everybody who is successfully doing those apprenticeships and partnerships right now. But honestly, Leah, like I had a chance to meet some of the group in California that's doing a really, really good job. So I can, what if for the Teach for LA conference, if we had because you know how in the past we've had some days where we've tried to do PD for us within the conference. What if within the conference we had something on apprenticeships where, maybe we bring in Tina Watts and we bring in the Lisa from Berkeley and, some of the people who are kind of leading the charge. Do you think it could be okay under Teach for LA, or would it be better to have it be like its own separate?
Yeah, either way, Renee. I mean, whatever is easier, because I know it's hard to coordinate these things.
Oh, totally, totally.
Yeah.
Well,
Totally
that's why
understand.
when we were writing it with the apprenticeship, because it's
Yeah.
all apprenticeship, at one point Bobby's all, we got to switch this to pre-apprenticeship. It leaves a lot more fluid for us right now. We just, especially with COVID, we didn't know if we could even get them in classrooms. But the great thing is, some people are. The Bay Area is, So let's see what we can. Let me see what I can figure out. Now I'm thinking though, that type of training and same like Teach for LA, September. Is everybody cool with that? Like September, I don't know when in September at this point. I need to like look at the calendar and talk with the Adira and check on the El Camino calendar and whatnot. Is that okay with everybody if we're looking at September for that? Okay. And then the apprenticeship training, either that would be in September, or you know what, probably within the same month. I just don't know if I could plan anything for August right now and get contracts and everything going with summertime, because there's so many gaps. So is everybody cool though if we're thinking September for those like actual kind of deliverables that go along? Okay, excellent, excellent. Another thing we should spend some time talking about too is you know, what kind of support does your campus need? What will you be able to keep going? What will you like once your SWP funding ends? Kind of what do you have to let go, or have you been able to institutionalize things, or can we work smarter together? So just little conversation on what support is needed for your campus or your program moving forward. Can I all assume that we need money?
Yes.
Everybody's so quiet right now. I mean, it's like it's hard to say what our program needs when the funding dries out. There's a huge amount of different funding that's coming through with this ECE P3 credential. You absolutely should be keeping an eye on it. You know what I mean? I think it'd be smart if at some point in the future we could go out for regional money again together. And so that's something we could be thinking of. But if you have any gaps in your program, or if there's any sort of training or any resources you're looking for, please know at any time, like reach out to me, Yadira, even Leah, Megan, our whole leadership team. We're here to support you. And so if there's any gaps, let us know, or any ways that we can be of help. Okay, next discussion, which hopefully won't just be me talking, is SWP moving forward. So we have got SWP through September at this point. What do we want to do moving forward? And this might be a conversation that we don't have today necessarily in entirety, and maybe we do it at a future meeting, but I think we need to start thinking about what's the plan. Is there another campus who wants to take over as lead and maybe write the next application? Yadira and I, like, we could at El Camino, but we've tried to have it be like it was at Rio for a couple years. It was at El Camino for a couple years. We don't want to be like hoarding the project on campus by any means. And so we want to just see if there's another group that, you know, another campus that might like to, you know, as in October, take over for SWP. And then with the next set of funding that comes through, go out for it for the region. So any discussion on that? And it could just be like, hey, I want to talk to my campus about it and feel it out, or, you know, or I want nothing to do with it. I'm planning to retire in the next year. I mean, that's okay to say things like that, right? We all been together for a while. We got to keep it real. So any
That's
thoughts?
our Laura.
Leah, did you say no way? I'm not bringing it back to Rio? Or
No, I said that's our Laura. That's her situation. No way, I'm retiring, right?
No, I have retired.
Oh, yeah, she is. See, she's
Yeah, I
already
did.
retired.
June
She's still
15th.
here.
And we just hired a new education faculty member.
excellent.
So even though I would be one to say, yes, our campus could do it, but I can't do that to the new hire. I've already overwhelmed her, I think.
Totally.
So eventually I want to bring her and introduce her to this group too.
Excellent. Well, and maybe what we could do is maybe the plan is that another campus comes in for one round and then your campus comes in after that. You know, we could do a long-term plan where we go 3 years out and what we're all thinking of. That's okay to do, you know, and then she can say, yes, I'm comfortable with this or not, you know. Excellent. Any other thoughts on this? Have any other campuses thought about being lead of the project, or considered it, or has discussed it at all?
Yes. Hello. Hello. Can you hear me? Hello. How you doing, everybody?
Good to
Yeah.
see you.
Same here. Oh yeah, I don't have my camera on.
Oh, it's all good. You don't have to. I didn't mean to like imply
Been
that.
running around. Yeah. We have a high school event on campus also, and they're about to go on a field trip to this engineering company.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, I've been running around. We have 40 students. So yes, I've been thinking about being a lead, you know, but that's just me thinking. So I have to talk to our department chair, and then we can go from there. But I'll see what she says.
Excellent, Michael. That sounds fantastic. To have a talk with her, let me know if you want me to be in a meeting or anything, or to talk about, you know, what Yadira and I did, or share documents, or, I mean, just 100% transparency. We can share anything or nothing. So you let us know.
Right. Yeah, and I also think it's a good idea to collaborate, just like what you're saying, 1 year and then the next year and another campus, just total collaboration, even if it's two leads, the first year, two leads the second year, whatever it is, so whatever works. But I think that'll be ideal. So so no one has to do it for the complete 3 years, 20 years, even though I'm thinking about retirement every day. I've been thinking about it for the past decade. So I got a little bit longer to go. And also, I was thinking about more employer engagement for teacher pipeline, and trying to really get out there. And I know we're talking apprenticeships, but try to find more internships and even full-time employment. So, and then just talking to employers, getting out there, working with employers and the chambers also. I think that'll be ideal. So we have the LA chamber we normally work with, and we have out here in the Valley, Woodland Hills chamber, and also working with VICA and just all of these LAEDC. And that's something we all been working with at some capacity. If not us, it was some other colleagues. But our campuses have been involved in a good amount of employee engagement, or at least collaborating with these agencies, these organizations and chambers, things like that. So I think that'll be ideal.
Do you think that maybe in each of our monthly meetings, we could invite somebody like, in the past we had Woodcraft come. Why couldn't we do, here's the Inglewood School District and here's the Woodland Hills Chamber of Commerce. And I mean, would that be, I know that some of them are more like a little more specific to certain campus areas, but would that be beneficial? Because that's something we could put in the structure of our meeting where, we open up and we have a guest and they come and speak for 10 minutes.
Right. Yeah, they're interested. They just don't know who to talk to.
Yep.
They don't know that we have certain programs, and there's no point of contact. So the Woodland Hills Chamber, they have an education component. So they talk only education. So it's once a month. We have a meeting once a month, and and it's towards the evening time around 4 o'clock. But they're interested, and they're interested in having events at the campuses. So a couple months ago, we had the chamber organized, and we hosted the Asian Valley Asian Cultural Festival here. So and it was a huge success. We had council members come out, and the community came out. It was a family-oriented event. And all we did was open our doors, and they did all the coordination, with the community and throughout the chamber. So, they're willing to connect with this, and there's chambers all over around each of our colleges. So I think that's a good route. I think that's a good route to take, and it'll establish us as well, and then others will be when businesses start talking about us, that's when we move to the next level.
It's interesting that you say this. I was taking notes too. I know some people from California Credit Union, and they're a school-based credit union that's in Los Angeles, in Southern California. And I once had an issue with the conference, and they literally said to me, "Hey, if you ever need like a sponsor for a conference or something, let us know." And it's the kind of thing that if we had 350 students, they take care of the meals for all the students. They spend a couple $1,000s. Like they come in as a kind of a really nice kind of sponsor.
Mm.
And so it's even making me think like, let's invite these different groups that create these relationships, because for many, many reasons, but also just for that sustainability in the future. Maybe we can invite a group or two that might help us to sponsor Teach for LA, and we can keep that going. You know what I mean? Whether it doesn't have to be contingent on SWP funding. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
you should there's certain things that we're doing that should happen no matter what funding we have. And so these relationships that you're talking about, Michael, are really strategic, and just the right thing to do. Leah, I see your hand.
Yeah, I like that idea, Renee, of inviting speakers. When we did it, our Teach LARC meetings, we used to invite speakers and to talk for like maybe 30 minutes. And I thought that was really beneficial for all the members. So if we can bring that back, that would be great too.
Absolutely. And if any, I'm happy to bring that back. If anybody has any suggested speakers, please, please, please feel free to share them with me. I have no problem reaching out whether I know people or not. Like I have no, if you say, oh, this one person's great, I have no problem doing a cold reach if I don't know the person. So great, 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 great. Any other comments about this? Okay, wonderful. Let's talk for just a few minutes about just some campus updates and discussion. How are things going for summer? Like, are your classes full? Did you have to cancel a lot? What are things looking like for fall? Is it still like we're hoping to be face to face, but we're still keeping a lot online? Or just kind of what are things looking like? Michael, you said you have 40 high school students on campus today? Outstanding. I love hearing about those kind of things. Any summer camps that are going on? I think Leah does a CTE Teach summer camp. Anybody willing to share for a few minutes?
I'll share, Renee. We have our summer STEM program going on, and it's the first year that we are back in person since the pandemic started. Traditionally, students would take a Earth Science 110 class, and then in the afternoon would go to a middle school and teach 2 afternoons a week. And then the other 2 afternoons is when they receive supplemental instruction and training on the modules that they taught to the middle schoolers. Of course, we had to pivot when the pandemic happened and because they weren't having any on-site summer options. And it has always been a great program, but problematic for a couple of reasons. The intention is to draw students into teaching STEM, but largely because Earth Science is required for elementary teachers or students. We weren't seeing results of students going into the STEM pathway. They kind of entered already set to be elementary, and the majority of the students were straight out of high school. So the beauty of the program was that really it acclimated them to a college class, and they got to meet fellow students that they were now going to be in classes for the next 2 years. So our summer STEM students tended to complete faster and do better than, but it didn't really produce more STEM teachers, which was originally what the funding was intended for. So the pandemic gave us an opportunity to kind of rethink how we do the program. And so the plan right now is to allow that first summer for the elementary students, but then the second summer, if they complete it successfully in the first, they get to do a paid internship. And right now that paid internship has been in conjunction with the Downey Unified Steamworks program. And then it also allows our single subject students to then have that paid internship opportunity as well. So Tuesday was their first class. We had an interesting day on campus yesterday. Lightning struck a tree and which caused a fire, which damaged the power source to the campus. So we're back working at home today, and yesterday everyone got sent home because the power literally just came on again today. So our poor summer STEM students, as soon as they get back on campus, lightning strikes and they're back at home. So that's what's going on at Cerritos.
Oh my gosh. It sounds really exciting. And I think we might want to know more about that paid internship piece that you have going on. You said that's with Downey?
Yes, so Downey has a summer program called Steamworks, and it's win-win for them because we pay the students. So we are still using monies that were part of the Misty program with Cal State Long Beach. We sort of multi-funded other things so that we could retain the money. I still have to figure out a long-term solution for institutionalization. But the good news is, like, the class itself is now sustained by the college. It used to be contracted out. So anyway, happy to talk more about it in the future, but that's primarily what summer has been about in the teacher track program.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Colleen. I appreciate that update. And hopefully you'll be back on soon safely, like on campus soon without lightning bolts hitting campus. That was pretty
crazy. Like, I've never been anywhere right by a lightning. It's loud.
Yeah, that must have been scary. I'm glad they were able to evacuate and do what was needed quickly to get everybody safe.
Well, and thankfully not one student or car or anything was around the tree that got hit. So, you know, everyone was fine.
We had some lightning up here, and my daughter's on color guard, and it was her first day of a color guard outdoor camp, which, if anybody knows color guard, they are literally flying metal poles. And so, fortunately, they brought them inside after a few minutes with the lightning yesterday. That's the last thing we need. Like, anyways, any other campus want to share what's going on?
I'll share because I don't know how long I have Wi-Fi and it keeps coming in and out. So at El Camino College, we are actually fully on summer break already. However, we are wrapping up our CPTP program at El Camino College. There was a lot of little last minute counting of hours, and we are actually have open classes for summer. Interestingly, I was supposed to teach on summer, and it was going to be in a hybrid course, which means I was going to be in campus 2 days, and I didn't have enough students to continue the course. We switched to online, and I have a waiting list now. So again, I think students are preferring to be online. It's online, but live. Does that make sense? So it's Zoom Monday through Thursday, certain times of the day, but they prefer the Zoom over the in-person class. I think a lot of our classes in our education child development department are sticking to the online for the moment. And that's pretty much it on our end. Other successful SWPs, as we're here getting ready to close in, we're so excited that we were able to spend down the money. And it's really, I don't even know how we did that. So thank you, Renee.
I still have headaches about contracts though, Yadira.
PSAs, I can, no.
Yeah, it's so weird how campuses pay certain contracts and don't. You would think it would be based on date of the performance that the person gave the service, but it's not always. Sometimes it's based on somebody's last name. So that's been really fascinating. Thank you, Yadira, for that update. Who would like to share next?
Can share. We're pretty quiet at City College in our child development department this summer. All of our classes are online for the summer, and we're having good enrollment in our online classes. I keep watching our enrollment for the fall, and I'm surprised just a couple of our in-person classes have made the contract level already, but there's many that haven't. So I don't know. I'm trying to think of ways to encourage some of our students to come back, because I know the ones who did come back in spring were hesitant, but then really found it meaningful, especially in certain classes. So anyway, that's what we're planning. And I'm also planning with spending the rest of our funds. We're doing a permit event with fingerprinting and helping the students apply for their permits.
Excellent, excellent. Kelly, do you anticipate Practicum being online or face-to-face in fall?
No, it will be face-to-face. Yeah.
Excellent.
But one of our issues for everybody is that, I mean, they can go take classes online anywhere, even the ones that we don't like to teach online. And so we lose enrollment to that. So it's been a very, balancing act.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got to say, with this new P3 credential, we've got to be watching what, like, I'm gonna say this, it's gonna sound bad. The private schools are like sitting there waiting right now. If we don't jump on this, we're gonna lose a big opportunity. And I'm worried because I'm going to meetings where like we should be, and I'm like the only community college person, and there'll be like 8 different private institutions that are there at the same meeting. So it's like they're ahead of the game, So I think we need to have these kind of conversations, especially as we are in declining enrollment and whatnot. So Colleen, I see your hand, and Marini.
I just wanted to ask a question after hearing from Kelly and Yadira, because we're seeing the same things. Like, you hear from students, we want in-person classes, but then that's not what the enrollment is showing, right? And another thing that we're grappling with at Cerritos is related to mandatory vaccinations. And so I was just wondering from our colleagues here, where is your campus at with that? Because we have K-12 students coming in that haven't had to, and I'm wondering how much that plays into their ability or desire to do in person Do you get a sense that vaccination status has anything to do with that?
Well, I'll tell you, our district, the LA Community College District, took away
Yeah.
the student vaccine mandate. They're requiring it for faculty and staff, but no longer for students. So I think that's going to attract some students to come back, but it's also pushing some away. It's pushing them away too. So we'll see what happens, but yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing in the same district as Kelly, and they also removed the mask mandates for students almost concurrently when we heard that there was a spike. So I guess there might be a lag in terms of changing the policies versus what's actually happening in the environment. So just like Kelly said, it's kind of a weird dichotomy because it's going to maybe remove barriers for some students, but then other students are going to say, well, I don't want to go if people are not going to be protected and protect me. So we'll see how fall looks, but like others have said, we at West are finding that the classes that are being scheduled online are not filling and have to be moved to, the classes that are being scheduled for face-to-face are not filling. So we're having to transition them to online. And right now, all of our summer classes that are being offered are online, and we're trying to get campus-wide, we're trying to get, I think we're trying to do like 40% face-to-face in child development. I think we're just offering 3 classes face-to-face, 2 curriculum classes and a practicum class. And then I teach both child development and education, and I will be teaching CD 46 and 47 for the first time, which are the school age program classes. They've been archived for a while, so it will be my first time teaching them. So far, the enrollment is pretty full. So if anyone, these are online classes, by the way. If anyone has resources that they'd like to share and give to someone who's like going to be teaching these classes for the first time with no guidance and no template of what was done before, please let me know.
Want a syllabi? I taught both classes for like 7 years.
Oh, I would love that, Renee. That would be amazing.
Because I'm out of the classroom, but Marini, I could totally talk to you pros and cons about both classrooms. Are both of those classes also, are you using the Parker text in the school age class? Because we need to rewrite that. We need to talk to Jennifer. I think she's at Moore Park right now. She's like retired. We need to rewrite that text at some point because it's out of date and there's.
Let me peek. I have it over here.
Anybody else teach school age classes?
No, and I'm actually curious because it's been archived at our college forever because the enrollment was so low because there was no need for it. So has something changed in the workforce in terms of those unit requirements for after school programs or
with the
this one?
It's
this
Parker.
is Baumgartner.
Oh no, I don't know that one. Okay, interesting. Okay, the units, as far as I know, have not had a change, Kelly, except that their expanded care needs 200,000 employees in the next year. So if we don't start offering like youth worker certificates and kind of honestly what the Bay Area is doing, they have all these apprenticeships, they have internships, they have like direct pipelines where they're going, they're working with these different community-based organizations. Like we're going to have big problems in Southern California. I mean, we were already working with Woodcraft and trying to help bridge that gap, and then that also opportunity for our students. But
well, and I think the school districts weren't requiring units for a long time for those after school programs, I think.
Yeah, they normally don't require units for after school programs, but I do think that might change. But I'm going to be honest, I don't know if our students are going to take those classes so much for the units as really as to get the content in order to have it for work.
That's what I'm thinking too.
Those classes are 100% practical, like the after school leadership class. So there's the after school age care class, and then there's the after school leadership class. The leadership class is like programming the entire semester. How do you program a whole? That's all it is. They leave that class with like, oh, I've got 50 awesome activities that are like totally relevant to my community that I can now do with these kids of all ages. So they're good classes.
That's great. And, I know they're great classes. So I'll be happy to see that students are coming back to take them. Yeah. That's good.
I need to advocate for them counting differently. You know what I mean? And especially with the peak, it's interesting because with the the P3 credential, there's such a talk about the 24 units, but even with my discussions, I was like, the 24 units, that doesn't include our math and science class. That doesn't include our after school classes. Like those aren't included. It doesn't include the literacy class. It doesn't include the music and movement class. Like the 24 units are absolutely essential, but are they all that's essential? You know, I think it's going to make us reevaluate what we're doing and like what capacity we have to do more. And the school age is a spot where a lot of us have had it, sitting there for a while archived and can pull it back pretty easily. And it works out with the workforce needs. So interesting for sure. Marini, just remind me, and then you and I, let's just get together one day and I'll just shoot you everything I have and all the resources. I'd even be happy to pop into your classes at any time, or be a guest speaker, or just because I've taught them. They're fun classes.
Thank you. It's asynchronous, but
Okay.
I will take whatever resources that you can share. That would be amazing. Thank you so much, Renee.
Absolutely. What other campus updates do we have to share, or any discussion pieces?
Well, Santa Monica College is in the same boat as everybody else. Again, we had some online, some face-to-face for summer. They didn't fill. We went strictly to online. In the fall, we are offering 37 classes, and 8 of them are face-to-face. And we're hoping they fill. So far, so good. But, we have that cap. Ours is 18. We must get to 18. I want to have a discussion with administration to say if we get to 14, 15, for these people who are risk-taking to come back onto campus, they need to bite the bullet and let them come on. Because I personally think if you say no, they may not even try it again to roll in a face-to-face class. So what they're wanting, that improvement of 40 to 50% online, and then on face-to-face, they're not going to get it if they shut it down so early. I can see if it's 8 and under. Okay, I get that, but yeah, so we'll see if they listen.
15 is solid. They should let you keep with anything that you could stay at 12 or above.
That's what I think. That's what I'm gonna mention. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I'll share a little bit about Pasadena City College. We have 2 classes going this summer, and they're both online. I'm teaching both, and same thing with what folks are saying, that I've noticed that when I offer courses in person, they don't fill up as quickly. And so I think moving forward, at least the last couple semesters and then this fall semester as well, I typically offer 2 sections of Education 13 Intro to Elementary Teaching. And so I've started to do 1 in person and then 1 synchronous on Zoom. And the one that's synchronous on Zoom fills up more quickly, but I think that that's my strategy, and trying to also maybe offer the Zoom one later in the evening for those folks who maybe do work and are unable typically to make it on campus during the daytime, right? Because I think I'm trying to really start to tap into other folks. This summer is pretty quiet in terms of our programming. We had a lot in the spring, or I think offering a couple things in August, but I'm just taking the time to work with a couple folks. We did an all-day retreat about a week ago, myself and another person who pretty much kind of runs the teacher prep program with me, and just trying to do a conference, an in-person conference, maybe in January for the first time, I think, since I've been there. And so good things, but definitely it's an interesting thing with like the mask mandates being gone and COVID. I feel like everyone I know has COVID right now. And so it doesn't seem to kind of connect with the reality of the situation, but we're just moving forward. I think trying to be a little bit more cautious than really, as we move forward. So I think we'll have some in-person programming to make use of the space that we do have at PCC, but I do find that the online just attracts different folks, and I've had students from different regions and different areas take some of the classes. So there's pros and cons, but other than that, trying to find balance in life and trying to take some trips this summer, as I hope all of you all are doing, and so that we don't burn out before the year starts.
Letty, thank you for saying that. We need to book our travel tonight. I think we're leaving next Friday and we don't even know what we're doing. And I think we're going to go on a cruise that involves like flying and we don't even have anything booked. So, but as you said, my family, my son and I had COVID this month. Thank goodness for being double boosted or double vaxxed and boosted. But I'll tell you, I had a couple days. This is going to sound really strange. Slide tangent for a second. My mom's in her late 80s and has bad restless leg syndrome. One of my sisters in her 50s has started to have issues. Every once in a while, like my muscles would be a little weird in my legs. I knew I had COVID before I was testing positive because I had 3 nights where my legs were on fire and I couldn't sleep. I was taking like 4 to 5 Epsom salt baths a day and I was testing negative. And I'm saying to my husband, I'm like, my body's doing something I've never had it done before. And I'm 48. I shouldn't be getting it like this. It should be at least another 10 or 20 years till I get it to this degree. And so it's what the thing that was strange to me is how your body reacts with COVID and like different things that, you just don't know kind of. So if anything weird starts to happen and you test negative, just assume you have it at this point, everybody, and just be extra safe. And I hope everybody stays safe. What a strange time. Just like you feel like you worked so hard to not get it this whole time. And then at this point, then you get it. And you're like, really? Oh, yeah. So, Letty, thank you for sharing everything you shared there. And I really appreciate you talking about that intro to teaching, that ed class and the face-to-face and the asynchronous. Like, it's so important to have those options. I really wish that we could create a system where, imagine if you enrolled in a class and it was 2 classes parallel. And every single time there was a class session, students could choose if they wanted to go to the face-to-face one or if they needed to go to the Zoom. And I know as educators and faculty, that puts us in a really different situation. But I almost wonder if moving forward, maybe education will have to redefine and look a little differently like that. I don't know. Because we thought they'd be coming back. And they should have come back at this point. Yes, and Letty, I agree with you. Making sure that you have them together and having some points of connectivity are so needed because that's what they're struggling with. Like I said before, it's not that academic gap. I mean, there's a little bit of that academic gap, but it's the humanity gap right now. The humanity gap it's going to be, we need to developmentalize the whole system, everybody. That's what it comes down to. So, okay. Any other updates or discussion that anybody would like to share? Oh, excellent. Yes, Marini. You just put something in the chat.
Yeah, so a couple of quick things I wanted to share. What I put in the chat was West LA was one, I think there were 9 colleges in California that had applied for the OFAR project, Open for Anti-Racism. It was a 2-semester program where we work with an organization to embed anti-racist practices into our courses, but also using open educational resources. So it was kind of a merging of the two. So in the fall, we had to take a Canvas class. And then in the spring, we had to implement. So we could either like add a module or change an assignment, or we had an option of ways that we can implement something anti-racist. So we just culminated our project. It was long and it was a lot of work, but the West team was a really great and diverse group. So I was representing education and child development. We had someone from theater arts. We had someone from biology, someone from basic skills, someone from political science. So we had a nice cross section, and we were one of the only campuses in Southern California that was selected. So we were very, very excited. So what I put in the chat is a link to the video. We only had 8 minutes to present last Friday. And so we had to, there were 5 people in our group, so we had to kind of summarize our work in 8 minutes. So one of our group members put together a video. We all kind of just shared. We answered some key questions that we had to ask, and he had to speed up some of our voices to fit it into, I think it's 8 minutes and 34 seconds. So some of it sounds a little weird because our voices sound a little fast. But if you have time to just check it out, it was great. And the other projects were amazing too. We were just one of 9. So I just wanted to share our project. We're proud of it. And we plan to share with our faculty during Flex Week and hopefully continue this practice of, thinking about how we can transform our existing practices and make them more anti-racist, while also using open educational resources to make them more accessible for our students.
Marie, I appreciate this so much because a lot of times we get our learnings and we don't take them to the next level. And so for you to now bring this to us and say, hey, I want to share this with everybody. And plus you're sharing a resource of here's a resource that we had and here's what we did with it. And so I really appreciate this on many levels, Marini. And I have mine ready to go queued so I can watch it after we meet today because I think it's
awesome. Please do. We were very proud, and just getting a snippet of the work that we did. If you have any additional questions about what we did, please let me know. And then again, we're only one of 9. All 9 of the projects were amazing. And we created a jam board where every group, when they presented, the rest of us would give, kudos or praise or ask questions, feedback. And so it was just really, really inspiring to see what some of the other campuses had done in so many different content or different disciplines. It was very, very cool. So thank you.
Absolutely. I love seeing what campuses do with investments. I think that's really exciting. It's kind of like the unspent funds. Anytime I show that list of all those workshops, I'm like, it's like total pride, because it's that deliverable piece of it. So I appreciate it so much.
And then, really quick, I see Laura's hand. I just wanted to share, we're using our funds for videography. So Lawrence is doing a promotional video for us, and we did a lot of videotaping. He was there for our graduation. And so hopefully we'll have it done by the end of the summer, and then I can share the finished product.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. He's such a great videographer. Laura, what did you want to say?
I just want to know, are these presentations posted publicly that we could see them, or?
That's a good question. I want to ask about that too. I was even thinking if I could share the Jamboard, because some of the groups presented live, although our session was recorded, and I think about half of them did a video presentation like we did. I don't think they've shared the video recording yet, but let me find out, because I think it would be really awesome for other folks to see. So let me find out if I can share it. Thank you.
Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you, Marini. Any other campus updates, discussions, anything you would like to share?
Yes. Over here at Pierce, we're still working on the apprenticeship partnership with CCRC, Child Care Resource Center. So that's still in the works. So that's the extent of the update.
Michael, are you working with Brandy Wolf at EPTS, the Esebs Apprenticeship Group?
No, I'm not. No.
Oh,
what is the name? It's
Randy Wolf, Dr. Randy Wolf, RANDI, and I think it's WOLFE. If you need Randy's contact, or if you need an intro or anything, let me know. She's really good at supporting apprenticeship programs and also finding resources and finances to help fund apprenticeship programs.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
I asked Randy if she could come into our next meeting, because maybe Randy would be a good person for us to kick off with.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's engagement. Employee engagement. Yeah.
Absolutely. I'll see if she can make it for July then.
Okay. Sounds good. Yeah. Thanks.
Absolutely. Any other updates? I'm always trying to connect pieces, everybody. Thank you for your patience while I tangent and stuff like that. It's just me trying to connect everything. In the chat, I want to make sure everybody knows that I put the upcoming event, save the date, coming together to support high quality P3 teacher preparation in California. That's coming up next Thursday from 1 to 4 p.m. It's going to be a really, really great event. Hope you can make it. I will put it in the chat again right now. But I think that's all for today. If anybody has any questions or comments or anything else, feel free to unmute. Otherwise, I guess we can wrap. Okay, well, thanks so much,
everyone.
I'm sorry, Marini. What were you?
No, I was just saying, good to see everyone.
Oh, good to see you too. Everybody, take care.
Have a great day.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
And enjoy some summer stuff for sure, everybody. Okay.
You too.
Awesome. Take
Bye,
care,
everyone.
See you soon.